Here we are with the crew of When Ireland Rocked. Lads, pleasure to be here.
How's it going, lads?
How are we getting on?
Hello there.
We have two familiar faces
Where?
for our audience. One in the mirror there.
Look in the mirror.
There's
Three
in
now.
the mirror there. We've Chris County and Rebsy, Brendan Rayburn, all the way from RD County Louth with me.
Yes.
Good counterpart here.
Yes.
At least I'm not outnumbered today either. I've three other men ready to do battle with the RD men from County Louth. Jimmy on the drums.
Yes.
Jimmy Brennan, Cormac on vocals, Cormac Neeson, and PatMcManus on the guitar.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello.
Pleasure to have you.
Good man,
Thank you very
lads.
much.
Thanks for coming, man, lads. Thanks for coming in.
No, pleasure, boys. It was actually a pleasure getting to have that little bit of a sound check there. Phenomenal sound, and from even the last gig that we were at in Drogheda, our minds were blown, wasn't it, Luke?
Ah, yeah, it was
It was-
brilliant.
it's such a
It's
hell of a
absolutely
show.
class.
But we know the songs now, you see.
You can barely hear it tonight
And
now.
I thought I knew them.
So, boys, tell us, how did the whole thing come about? Or whose idea was it? Or who was
Well, the idea of this was definitely Brendan's idea. I was chatting to him on the phone and we got talking about just classic rock really. And he said to me, geez, wouldn't it be a great idea if we actually paid homage or tribute to all just the Irish bands
Yes.
that made it through the 70s and 80s that influenced the generation that came afterwards. And I thought it was a great idea, you know, really, really good idea. And I said, well, you can count me in. so it just grew from there.
Grew from there.
Yeah. So it was you know, he said, well, we need somebody who could cover the vocals on this. That's a monumental task. And I knew straight away who to say.
He wasn't
Mr.
available.
Cormac, yeah. Cormac was the first person that came to mind because I knew if anybody he'd do it, you know.
Yeah.
When I seen Cormac first sing was down at with AC/DC,
Yes.
and where was that? There wasn't he called
Punchestown.
Punchestown.
Was that it?
And I was blown away by him. It just the band were the answer were fantastic, and I just thought someday I get to work with this guy here. You know, I want to work with him. So this little opportunity came along, and Brendan took it the rest from there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So Pat's lead, absolutely, and the whole idea is based around the classic Irish rock and all the bands, and it's an absolute pleasure to have Pat involved because he's too modest to say it, but he's one of the living legends. So we're all delighted to have him on board.
One of the guitar heroes of Ireland. That
Absolutely,
can definitely live up there with the names.
I
of the
don't know
best
about
that
that.
have come out of this country. That is for sure.
100%, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then Jimmy, who rounded you up?
Oh, Ribs gave me a ring.
Oh yeah.
Twist my arm, mate. I'll do it. Yeah, no problem at all. Are you kidding? I jumped at the chance.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing Lizzie Gallagher. Yeah, great. Pass my guitar. Yeah, come on. So yeah, I'll do that. No problem at all.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
But like your overall, as a whole, I think that the band absolutely works fantastic together. Like Jimmy's drumming, first thing I picked up on when we went to Drogheda, I said to you,
Yes.
holy shit.
Well, you know, when you're playing Downey and all these fantastic drummers, even Larry Mullen stuff, you know what I mean? They're all great players on this music. So sure, it's just, you know, a pleasure to play. It's like meat and potatoes to me. I grew up playing rock and metal and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's great. It's great every night. Look forward to every night. So
Yeah.
tonight's no different.
Yeah. And the two boys, of course, we had our chat. Chris at piano, whatever you can do it all. I was watching you down the guitar, the harmony guitar together. Fantastic.
I'm good at winging it, you know.
No, you're not. No. You winged
Plenty
it.
of intention there.
Yeah, well, as Jimmy said, like, you know, such a project to be asked to be a part of from the ground up, like, you know, so everybody has good interest in it. And since the last time we were talking to you, we've actually gone out and done more gigs. And this tour especially now, I feel, and the boys could be looking at me like, what is he on about? But it actually feels like a band now. And taking a break last weekend and going back to doing other gigs was just like,
It wasn't very fun.
No, it
you
wasn't.
guys had good
Yeah.
fun in the Diamond Club.
oh, you were doing a big rock night, yeah, they had a good weekend, the rest of us, man.
Sure, just smile on your face speaks a lot. That must have been
I suppose the rest of them were in Tenerife.
I actually had a good weekend myself.
Were you on Carry Ribsy.
I wasn't.
Sipping cocktails and having a great time.
Pina coladas.
But Ribsy, fair play to you, because putting this thing together, I feel personally, for the younger generation, as Pat said, including your own band, Pat, and Cormac, your band, and Rory, and the Undertones, and Stiff Little Fingers, and all this, the new generation is possibly getting the chance to see this being played with a very talented group. You know, you're getting that music out to the younger generation, as well as people who grew up with it, I feel, anyway, personally. And like, we've been spreading the word, and the feedback that we're getting from people that went to your show, they're blown away. And one thing that I heard last week was that one guy said, "How do I not know about this band?" I'm like, well, now you do. Go out and tell 20
Spread the
people.
word.
Yeah. Get down to the
Because
show.
he was blown away. He's like, unbelievable, from start to finish. And every single musician held that whole thing together and just blew their mind.
And it was amazing stepping out in Belfast. You know, it was a sold out Empire Music Hall gig, and so the place was packed and buzzing, and down the very front of the whole thing, just loads of students. Just rocking out, and it reminded me of the early Antrim gigs, whenever like you just get ones losing the run of themselves because the music had, you know, kind of took over, you know.
Yeah.
And it was really it was a real positive thing, just watching people rock out, and like you say, you know, there's obviously ones there that are kind of closing their eyes and they're back in the day, and there's the nostalgia that comes with it, but there is this whole new audience that really appreciate good rock and roll, and especially good rock and roll from Ireland.
Yes.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Some of our listeners as well, like, have said, like, it's great to go back and maybe get that tease of Rory or that tease of the Undertones and go down the rabbit hole and listen to full catalogues of stuff. That's what makes it all important for us, I feel, anyway.
I think the beauty of this project is, with the numbers that you have chosen to showcase, it shows off how innovative Irish musicians have been over the years, that they definitely brought their own element to the show. Like you had said,
Absolutely.
Jimmy, when you grow up listening to players like Brian Downey and Larry Mullins, they've done something different than
Sure,
the
they
rest.
were unique in their own style,
Yeah.
definitely, you know, and it still sounds, you know, unique these days. And
It still stands the test of time.
Oh, yeah.
No
Absolutely.
more than your guitar parts, Pat, with the Mama's Boys.
It's funny because I was inspired by Gary Moore and Rory, and people used to say to me in interviews when you'd be in America and everywhere else, you know, who's your major influence? I said they're all Irish.
Yeah.
Eric Bell, you know, Gary Moore, Henry McCullough, who's in Wings, and Joe Cocker, only Irishman to do Woodstock.
Woodstock,
So
yeah.
I was into all of that. We didn't have to look any further than Ireland.
Yes.
The talent was, and probably Moore was probably one of the greatest guitar players in the world. He set the benchmark for everything that came after that. He really did.
Yeah.
If you hear his solo albums, you hear jazz fusion. He was at it all long before, you know, these people appeared on YouTube doing all this kind of stuff.
We were actually just speaking of that, of it, After Hours. You
Yes.
know, when he opens with Cold Day in Hell, is just to take your head off.
I know he was phenomenal, as was Rory as well,
Yes.
as was Eric Bell,
Yeah.
you know, as was Henry McCullough. I mean, Henry, you know, to playing with, what a CV he had.
Yeah.
You know, he did Woodstock with Joe Cocker's band, then joined Wings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And they're all from Ireland. It's a serious achievement,
Yeah.
and not alone with the players, but they actually set a standard
Yes.
that the rest of the world was trying to follow and copy as well. You know,
I
so it
think
was
people are
remarkable.
still trying to emulate Tin Lizzy's harmonies.
sure.
You know, and
Phil's writing, incredible. And Rory's writing,
No.
incredible.
Yeah.
You know, they were known as you know, rock stars, but you know, behind all of that, there was real quality substance to everything they did. You know,
100%.
so you know, we shared the stage with some of them, and we were, you know, like we were in awe of them. It was like a Wayne's World moment. I kept me autographs first, and then.
try not to fanboy too
Yeah.
much.
No, try not to fanboy, but it was incredible, and just watching those performances and watching them, you learn so much, you know.
What was that like, Pat, when you had come up influenced by those guys and then you got to go on and support Tin Lizzy?
It was incredible.
How did that feel?
It was remarkable, really, you know, just to be standing on the, we'd watched so many the Live and Dangerous video when we knew it back when, just to stand on the stage then and perform on the same stage was, well, that was it, that was the pinnacle. We thought, well, that's that's the pinnacle of anybody's career, to be fit to do
We
that.
can go home now.
We can go yeah. You know, and it was just marvellous, and we learned so much, and they were all very giving as well. I mean, Phil actually invited us on that too. He didn't have to do that.
Yes.
You know, he was always up for the Irish bands.
Yeah.
You know,
It was
and
good to
that,
support
you
them.
know, he had Sweet Savage, but there was lots of different bands. The Lookalikes, they all played before Lizzie. You know, all good bands, and he tried to bring as many bands through as he possibly could. So you know, Phil was responsible for an awful lot of what came afterwards.
Man looking after it.
Yeah, very, very much so, and just a lovely person, and it was an honour to be in his company, you know.
It's amazing. Some great stories.
Yeah, some great stories.
Cormac, did you feel a similar moment with the Answer supporting ACDC that you could say, look, we can go home now?
For sure, there was an element of that, you know. Like, I think we did 120 odd shows with those guys all around the world, and it got to the stage whenever you were just walking into another arena, it's like, oh, there's another arena.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
And
home now.
yeah, you were kind of, it's a bit of a small one today kind of thing, you know.
I'd only hold 50,000.
So like, but you know, I say that it didn't pass us by. Obviously, we were aware that we were kind of very lucky to be getting the opportunity, and the same as Pat says about Phil and all the Irish guys, the band themselves were very welcoming, very supportive. You know, Malcolm came just at the very start of the tour and says, if you've any hassle, any problems, come to me. You know, don't be going to.
Don't be going to the rest of the boys.
Those suits over there kind of thing, you know, don't be going to management or whatever, just come straight to me. And
Just fair play.
aye,
Nice touch.
aye, no, they were classy guys, you know. I think you find that across the board with a lot
Yeah,
of these
yeah.
big.
You find that human approach at the end of it, that's the musicians at heart.
Well,
Yeah, they've nothing to prove to anybody.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know, so they just can be themselves.
And you can
Yeah.
feel it, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, to bring it back to the music, we're up on stage playing every night, playing those songs and learning those lyrics and delivering them and kind of doing your homework. You realise that there's an earthiness and there's a very grounded humanity about a lot of the songs, you know, and I
Yes.
think like that's part of what, you know, what we as fans of rock music, what we buy into the fact that they're just normal dudes like out there writing great music, you know, and giving it everything they've got on stage, you know. So it's great to be inspired by that and to hopefully retain a bit of that energy out doing what we do at the minute, you know.
Well, you've definitely captured some of that, and you're definitely bringing it to this show.
Absolutely.
And off the back is asking who Pat's influences were. Who would your main influences be coming up as a team getting into music?
A lot of what Pat's saying rings true for ourselves. A lot of the influences would have been Irish bands, you know, whether that be the guys like Rory and Thin Lizzy, of course, you know, Mama's Boys as well. Obviously Pat couldn't be influenced by his own band there, but you know, we would have added that to the list for sure. And then like even like I'm sure the guys would say as well, there's always been great bands in the local scene.
Yes.
As well, that for one reason or another haven't broken through, or maybe they went on and broke through or whatever, but like I would have regularly have referenced, like, you know, casting my mind back to like bands like in Belfast that were doing the rounds, like Dirty Stevie and Just a Word, and a few great rock and roll bands, and not just rock and roll, but bands that are just kind of just had the right attitude. You know, they were getting up. The Delawares were a band, kind of country Americana band, just reformed at Christmas. There was at the gig, and it was like I remembered every word, every song, even though I hadn't heard the songs in 15 years. You know,
Yeah.
So like, you know, I suppose the point would be there's so much quality and talent and creativity on this island alone. You don't really need to look much further than that, you know. And the same reason why you get bands like Metallica referencing Thin Lizzy and players like Jimmy Page referencing Rory Gallagher and the Rolling Stones trying to get Rory into the band and all the rest of it, you know. Like we're up there with the best of them. I can truly believe that.
Yeah.
Talking about influences, Pat, I read somewhere before about Mama's Boys one time on tour up in Stockholm, I think it was, and there was a certain man with a fanzine that came knocking on the door.
Oh yes, Lars. He's only a kid then.
He's only a kid then, yeah. But Metallica were up recording Ride the Lightning or something.
That's right, they were, yeah.
And then they were a fan of yous, and
Yeah, he used to turn up at the marquee when we played, and Tommy, my brother, goes, this is the boy that talks a lot, he's back in the room. And he had a fanzine magazine at the
I think
time.
he'd be sick of talking.
He still does.
But also, we mustn't forget the horseslips and all of this,
Yes.
because for me that was very special, because they actually took where Lizzie and Rory and Van Morrison and all them went abroad. Most of the gigs that Horselips did were at home. I know they toured Germany and were very successful in America as well, but they always took the music back to the kids in the rural parts of Ireland.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't Dublin or Belfast.
Yeah.
You know, they were the instigators for us, Mama's Boys. They were the real deal, because we could see them face to face, and that was a remarkable feeling to get. I think we'd never seen anything like it before, you know, and it was incredible. They actually made an effort to put on a show, and with the lights and the big PAs and everything, and it just blew our minds. And I think, you know, they were a major player in all of the success of the Irish bands. I think the Undertones supported them, U2 supported them. It was amazing. It just you know, the calibre of that band, and they were total original as well. Because what I loved about them was they were fit to mix a part of the Irish culture into the traditional music into the rock music, and they presented to my generation who really got what they were, you know, that had a bit of fire in us, you know.
Yeah.
We wanted to be a bit of a rebel, you know, and it was the perfect antidote for all of that. It was fantastic, and we get a chance to play a few of their tunes tonight.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
What is your take on the current scene at the minute, as in what's out there, or how people are taking to music? Do you think there's a massive change, obviously, from that time?
Yeah.
Huge.
I think so, yeah. You know, from the point of view that record sales are not the same. But I think it's healthy for bands, because, you know, bands have to get back out on the road again now and actually play where they got a bit lazy, they'd sell enough records and they could sit at home for 6 months of the year, you know, and plan the next one. They actually gone out and play. And so in many respects it's very, very healthy, because it means that people are going to go out and see these bands play, which I think is great. And there's nothing to touch a real live performance.
No,
it doesn't come close. You know, you can stream it live from wherever they're doing it, but it's not the same as being in the rooms.
A good friend of mine who runs a podcast also had said that on his latest episode. He went to see the Bob Dylan film in the cinema. He said, you know, a lot of people will say, I'll get it on Sky when it comes out, or I'll watch it on the dodgy box, but they'll miss the cinemas when they're gone.
I went to see it last night myself.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't
Very
seen
good,
it yet,
very good.
but I'd love to get seeing it. But in the same sense of that, as you said, Pat, to get people to come out and watch the gig, you can stream it, you can watch it on YouTube, and that's a great tool as well. It helps, but nothing beats being there.
Real
Real
experience.
gig.
You don't get that feel, that emotion, nothing. No, you gotta get out there. Cormac, you have another project starting very soon too.
I do, yes. We've yet to play a gig, but we're about to change that. A band called California Irish, 7-piece, Belfast-based band. As the name suggests, we're very influenced by that kind of Laurel Canyon sound of the late 60s, kind of Crosby, Stills and Nash and Neil Young and all that kind of stuff. And just excited about it. You know, we're playing our first gig on the 22nd of February in the foothills of the Mournes with an album recorded called The Mountains Are My Friends. And we recorded it straight, very strictly as you would have done in 1969, you know, so the Pro Tools screen was never on. There wasn't an auto-tune or a click track in sight, you know.
Lots of drums everywhere.
I couldn't possibly comment. But just 7 people genuinely a bit petrified about the whole experience, wondering if it was going to work or not, you know, looking at each other and following the drummer for a cue for once instead of counting the clicks in the bar or whatever, you know. So it's very earthy, soulful stuff, you know, so looking forward to getting that up and running.
And it was produced by Peter Myers, is that right?
Peter Myers, yeah, so Peter, he would run a studio called Middle Farm in Devon, and the Answer recorded Sundowners, our last album recorded there, and we did, during that recording process, we did the drums straight to tape, because we wanted to have that sound, the analog sound on the record, but we didn't trust ourselves to do it all the way, you know. But I could tell Peter was just kind of engineering that record, but I knew, like, if he had had his way, it would have all been the tape, and he would have done it in a proper old school way. So I pulled him over at the end of the session, had a wee word. It was like, I've got all these songs in there, I've got this vibe, you know, would you be up for that? He's like, absolutely. So he was the perfect man for the job now, you know.
What a luxury to recreate that sound,
That was brilliant.
to record to tape.
Like a story that sums it all up is our guitarist Donal at one point was like into the mic, Pete, could you turn this scratch down a wee bit? He's like, no, Donal, you're gonna have to play quieter. You know? And it was brilliant. Donal's like, okay, you know, and I know the exact moment, and you can hear it in the record. You can hear a player that's digging in and trying really hard to play quieter, you know.
Yeah.
So there's lovely human touches all over it, like, so. Yeah.
We got to hear it coming home.
We heard a rough mix of it, yeah.
That's right.
It sounds great. It sounds
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
You know, and of course you're going to compliment bandmates on new material, but genuinely, it's really good. And like the few of us are thinking about going up and gate crashing that album.
We might have to do like
We might have to as well.
It's all brand new. We got our first bit of press yesterday from Hot Press. Wants to watch 2020
class, brilliant.
It's a paragraph, but it's amazing. You know, it's a great feeling.
Jimmy,
Rock royalty.
Rock royalty.
That was in it.
Hooks the size of sleeve gullion.
That's
Get that tattoo across the chest.
What a lovely comment.
Jimmy, we haven't asked you about your influences.
Oh,
Growing up as a teen,
Well,
who were you looking at?
at 13 years of age it started for me. I was actually downtown at a festival in Balbriggan where I'm from, looking up at this band called Middle East, who are like a local rock covers band. And I just went, that looks good now. That looks like it's for me. So, but I had been already listened to a bit of metal. I think Iron Maiden were a first love of mine, and obviously listened to Lizzie and AC/DC, and then discovered Rush from Canada with this drummer called Neil Peart, and just fell in total love with that, and wanted to buy a drum kit with about 18 toms. And
All the bands.
I went down that rabbit hole, and been loving it ever since. You know what I mean? It's influences come and go as well, because you know you start branching out and listening to a bit of everything really. Then you know what I mean, not just metal. Like I'd be a big Steely Dan fan. I would be a big, you know, who would I listen to? Genesis and. It depends on the day.
Yeah.
Depends on the day. It changes every day. I have a playlist comes up on iTunes. Go, I'll listen to a bit of that, you know. So,
yeah.
But Neil Peart would have been a big one. Brian Downey obviously would have been a big
Yes.
one, you know. Other drummers. God, there's so many really, you know. John Bonham. I mean, you can't beat Bonham.
Can't
really.
pass Bonham at all.
I'm looking forward to this new documentary that's coming out now next month about Led Zeppelin. This is the first in-depth one they've actually done, and they've got lots of footage of Bonham talking about music and talking about playing.
Little snippets coming out now.
Yeah, they're giving us a taster, you know.
Teasers,
So
teasers.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that, because it's Led Zeppelin are just such an interesting band, you know.
Pat, you're keeping busy too. I see you're announced for Ballyshannon.
That's right, yeah.
Look forward to that.
Yeah, no, it should be good fun, you know.
Yeah, it's always a good weekend.
There's a few surprise guests coming to that.
Brilliant.
I'm going to say.
We look forward to
Yeah,
hearing all about that.
Well, I don't know who they are yet.
Yeah, no one actually knows.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you all and to chat away. Sorry for not including you two men.
I was dreading it, so it's
I
glad.
know, especially after the last one. You couldn't wait to get out the door.
No, I talk shite for everyone, but not about myself.
So what is the future? Is there anything down the line? Is this going to a bigger stage or a different island or?
Well, that's that in the plan certainly, and this present run of gigs was more. We were sort of taking the approach of doing the songs in chronological order to show how the electric guitar developed, and how it the different rock artists' approach it and development of between 73 to 87 in particular, because from humble enough beginnings in 73 to 87, when you had U2, maybe the biggest band in the world at the time, you know. So that was the concept behind what we're doing on this tour, and we probably parked that idea going forward, and we'll probably open the gates and a few new songs, and you know,
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, yeah.
A lot more gigs to follow now. Hopefully in 20 years' time there'll be a band forms a tribute to us.
With a big boost
Because we did it so well.
Yeah. Again, boys, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having us, lads.
Thanks for the rest of the tour.
Best of luck to you guys as well.
Thanks, mate.